Let's get moving in that direction. Gotta love those lab coats and goggles. Yes. Yeah, that was a super good. The whole thing was really good. I loved Vincent's entire section. Okay, we're gonna up text speed. Wait. You just said you were the voice for this. Is this game voiced also? Oh man. I almost feel bad because I wish I had offered my voice to at least 1 or 2 games during the jam. It's very pretty. I love these. Press A for more settings. What does that do? Oh. Oh, that's fancy. Yeah, like I could have officially voiced the octopus instead of only doing it here for the pleasure of you people. One is a lab coat and baggy clothes, and I have both. When the first living thing existed, I was there waiting. When the last living thing dies, my job will be finished. I'll put the chairs on the tables, turn out the lights, and lock the universe behind me when I leave. This looks good so far. As I looked through the cafe glass wall into the intense sky, I knew there was going to be trouble. I wondered how long it would take. Would it hurt? Where would I end up afterwards? I heard Mori walk in.
Good morning.
Oh, I like Robin. I love the art so far. It's very... Oh, what's the word? Hi, Koda. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight? It's very adorable. It's very uwu. It's chibi, yes. That's also a good word. That's good, I'm glad. Spooky skeletons. No spooky. Lovely skeletons.
Good morning. Shall we?
We began taking the wood chairs off the tables, placing them down with the care of 2 people who had done this 100 times before. It was as if everything was fine, just another day at the cafe at the end of the universe. As I put down the last chair at the corner of the west end, I turned to look through the other glass wall. I wondered, can I see it from here? I could, it turned out. The void. Whoops. This might downsize. Nope, it didn't. Oh, a magic tear in the fabric of space, growing larger and larger with each passing moment. It was ancient, it was angry, and it was hungry. So, basically Tundra on a bad evening. It looked like how I would imagine a black hole would look like. Check. It moved slow enough that you wouldn't notice it moving as you stared at it. But, well, people were noticing it now. The cafe was empty of patrons at this moment, but I had a feeling that they'd be here soon, and there'd be many.
So.
What a riveting conversation.
Are we not going to talk about the elephant in the room?
Mori looked around as if he'd seen an elephant in the room if he'd looked hard enough.
How do you mean?
I wanted to say the universe is ending, and I'm not even sure immortal people will survive this. He blinked at me. I blinked at him.
Well, you've been hearing the reports coming back.
Occasionally.
And you sometimes listen to the news when the radio's on?
I have. This is totally true.
I love how I can't tell if he's avoiding the question or if he just doesn't care. He nodded slowly as he said this, a bleached skull bobbing up and down beneath a hood.
And what has the news been saying?
That it's Discworld's 50th anniversary?
Oh.
No! The void! Stop playing around. The entire world, the entire universe, everything we know and love is about to be wiped out of existence. How can you be alright with this?
Robin.
And it's not just everyone else, or even me. What about you? If existence is wiped out, what happens to you? Are you just going to...
Aww.
What are we going to do?
Mori shrugged.
There doesn't seem to be much we can do. The humans seem to have tried what they could, and... well, here we are.
Have they, though? I thought.
Can't you do something?
No, it's out of my hands.
That is above my pay grade.
You're death. You're immortal. You're as old as life itself. So, how bad do you think things are?
Bad enough.
All right, look. I'm not saying things are hopeless, but let's just say the cafe at the end of the universe has switched to its dessert menu. But we still have a job to do, and I would very much like to continue doing that with you, if you'd like.
Awesome.
So we just carry on like usual?
Yep. Well, maybe not entirely. Today we have a heavier workload.
The implication of that sentence just hung in the air for a moment.
Okay then, off to work. Serve the patrons. See you at the end.
I love Mori's voice.
Remember, pay close attention to what the patrons tell you about their memory. Really keep it in mind. You'll need to remember it to decide what meal to serve them.
Oh my god. Does this take like any kind of like inspiration from like Valhalla? Do I have a mini game? 'Cause oh my god. I'll die.
Mori, I know all this. I've literally been doing this since the 50s.
You'll be telling me I need to turn the pages to read the recipe cards next. I think you definitely need to do that, Bard. Because I'm definitely enjoying this track alone. So...
All right. Just wanted to give you a quick refresher. We may not get to do this again.
I wanted to say something else, but he had already vanished. I looked around the cafe, taking in the patrons. I doubt this point it matters at this point, but let's just run down the gambit. I do like the cursor. I like that I actually have a cursor for once, because normally you guys can't see my cursor. I cut up kitchen sounds and ambient noises, my friends' voices, made keyboards out of them. Interesting. I turned to the witch, beckoning her to go over to the counter. Oh, I like her. She's a star witch. As she walked closer, I saw that her witch uniform had a star theme look to it. Her blue dress and hat were dusted with stars that appeared in flecks of gold. I didn't know everything about the nuances of witches, but I'd learned a bit here and there from brief encounters at the cafe. A witch's uniform was important to what school of magic they had trained under.
Hello there. Welcome to Cafe Mori.
I tried to not sound like I had said that sentence 1,000 times, wearing it down with each use.
Do you know why you're here?
Yes. She looked around before I beckoned her over. She had been spending her time looking through the north and east glass walls of the cafe, drinking in the dramatic sky.
Did I astral project? No. I was just getting groceries, crossing the street, and here I am.
I mentally wondered if she had been hit by a car. I wondered who was driving it. An idiot, probably.
I don't really know how to put this, but you're dead.
What? Did it happen already?
The end of the universe? No, not yet. The void's still out there.
I gestured towards the eye of hell outside.
But it'll happen eventually. In the meantime, welcome to the cafe. Do you know what we do here?
Her expression became more solemn. She was beginning to process what had happened to her.
I do.
That much I had expected. I knew by now that witches were well educated in the supernatural.
What is your most precious memory?
I wish I had more time to pick this. What memory would you choose?
Well, don't ask me. I'm just the mixologist.
She contemplated for a few minutes, searching through her palace of thoughts. She was taking a while, so I decided to do my bartender thing.
So, what did you do back on Earth? What earthly delights did you partake in?
She seemed to light up at the question.
Oh, I'm a divination expert. I do tarot card readings for people. I studied different spreads, and when I graduated from the academy, I was given a handmade deck of cards to use. I also used the stars to write horoscopes for a witch newsletter. Or at least I did, until the internet died.
Oof. My confusion was possibly visible on my usually stony-like face because she added,
It was an online newsletter.
I was picturing a newsletter that was old enough to iron on.
We like to combine the old with the new. The first witches were people who thought outside of the box, remember?
Right. That gets me thinking. How much do you believe in the accuracy of tarot cards?
She paused, looking a bit surprised, then smiled.
I think the cards give people the answers they need. If you're willing to look at the cards for an answer, you will find one. I also just really enjoy looking at the stars. Oh, that reminds me. I know what memory to choose.
There we go.
My most precious memory is this. When I was a child, I almost died in a skiing accident. There was a tall wooden fence that blocked off the edge of a cliff near the slopes. But I was so short at the time that I just sailed under it. Before I reached the edge of the cliff, I leaned off of my skis to fall over sideways. My father was there when it happened. I think he blamed himself. He took me home and wrapped me up in a blanket and made a hot water bottle for me to sit next to. We spent the rest of the day watching cartoons on the sofa. It was such a long time ago, but I just have this vivid memory of that blanket and hot water bottle and feeling safe. I think if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have decided to follow my dreams of studying magic.
I paused. I wondered what I would have done if I hadn't died. Well, died so soon. If I had been given more time, what would I have done with it? I decided not to think about it. So I need to pick a recipe that evokes that memory, I thought.
Right. Coming right up. I think crepes.
So I need an egg, starry jam, milk, and a strawberry. Oh. I want to see if there were extra buttons.
Here you go.
I slid the meal towards her.
Ah, thank you.
She started to eat. I turned away to polish a glass with the flannel, not because I needed to, but because it gave me something to do. It was a trick of the trade I had learned over the years. I eventually heard her slide the plate back, devoid of its contents.
Those crepes were fantastic.
I'm glad.
She looked around the cafe again, this time at the shelves behind me.
Wow. After reading about you guys in the academy, I actually got to meet a Grim Reaper.
Out of curiosity, what do books say about Grim Reapers in academia?
Yeah, it is a very smooth animation. She smiled like someone who knew a good secret.
I remember one essayist describing you as the bartenders of the galaxy.
Nobody thought it would be so literal.
That's funny.
Poetic almost.
Does that mean I get a tip?
Do you want a tip?
I shrugged.
Not much point. I'd only have a few hours to spend it.
True, true. Hopefully I can see more of the stars as I leave. You know, before they're all gone.
Next, the scientist. I gestured toward the scientist sitting in a corner of the cafe, over here. Have a good night, Fo. He walked over.
Hey.
He had a Howie-style lab coat with a mandarin collar, like the kind you saw all the time in films and never in real life. Well, there's something you don't see every day. There is something to be said for the badassness of lab coats.
So, the outfit. Are you a mad scientist?
No, a sane scientist. How did you know I was a scientist and not a medical doctor?
The goggles were a dead giveaway.
Oh,
Oh. Reaching up, he adjusted the headgear consciously.
how did I get here? I guess I was accidentally summoned by a witch? I was doing an experiment. Hopefully it turned out alright. How do I get back?
Welcome to Cafe Mori, the cafe at the end of the universe. The last stop before your soul gets recycled.
Not the classiest way I put it, but it's still not the crassest. When you've been doing this job as long as I have, you sometimes get the urge to reword things, to shake things up. There was a long pause, and I could practically see the ones and zeros in his head clicking in place.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
I'll give you the quick version, since we're getting short on time. You've died and woken up here. I need you to tell me what your most precious memory is, so that I can make a last meal for you before you disappear and get reborn into someone else.
Right.
He thought for a moment.
What happens if I can't pick a memory?
That line was really well delivered.
Then you get my job.
And how much time do I have?
Till the end of the universe, which should be in, a few hours.
Well, what's the point of being reincarnated then?
Beats me, but we're stuck with it, I suppose.
Do you ever just think about how we never agreed to the system?
I wouldn't exactly call the chaos of the universe a system, but go on.
Look, I did a ton of research on the Void, and do you know what I found? A bunch of solutions that were actionable if you were the one in charge.
Let me guess. There isn't exactly an emperor of scientists.
Unfortunately.
That's right. And it seems like the people in charge aren't exactly putting the future of the universe at the forefront of their priorities. They'd rather pretend it wasn't happening.
Wouldn't people just stick their head out of a window, look at the sky, and then no?
Trust me. Every scientist does this at some point. There's no cure for stupidity.
There's no pill you can take, there's no surgery you can perform.
I'm over here trying to learn about antimatter, and there's people still asking me to prove that ducks exist.
Ducks don't exist, though, as a side note.
Ducks?
It's a thing.
He waved his arms around vaguely. I decided not to ask him to elaborate.
It's almost funny. Imagine all those people who pretended that the void didn't exist, right now going, "Nope, I don't see any debris flying around. What are you talking about?"
I briefly smiled, which is my equivalent of a burst of laughter.
What made you become a scientist?
I think it was when I was using my first science kit. You know those crystal growing kits? It was a gift from one of my uncles. You had to follow step-by-step instructions with different powders. I made a coloured salt crystal with it. Purple. I made it into a necklace. I wonder where it went. You know what? I want that to be my first memory. When I fly into the sun, that's the memory I want to cling to.
I'm not gonna cry, okay? You guys aren't gonna make me cry tonight, I promise. I know I'm lying, but that's not the point. Flying into the sun, metaphorically speaking, I thought. Dying and either being reborn or erased into oblivion, literally speaking.
Coming right up.
Not the trifle. Nope. I think it's the meringue pie, right? Okay, so that's an egg, bread. I don't want the cosmic bread, I want regular bread. There is no regular bread. Note to self, you cannot feed him the succulent. Bread, lemon, mushroom. That is a mushroom, right? Blend.
How do you make a meringue pie by putting bread into a blender?
Magic. Don't ask questions.
It's a magic blender.
That's not very scientific.
It's Cafe Mori. Clark's third law is in full effect here.
Hey! You really know your sci-fi.
I pushed the plate to him.
That was great.
I watched as an invisible burden seemed to leave the scientist.
You know, I feel better after that. I was so mad at not being listened to. But I'm still glad I became a scientist. I do love my job. What do you think will happen after the universe is destroyed?
I have no idea. You?
Oh, I think it'll either be replaced with a totally new civilization, or a civilization where history will repeat itself.
Maybe both.
Which do you think is worse? The complete loss of the old world, or repeating its mistakes?
Damn it, Katie. He was.
I guess. We'll see soon.
Goodbye.
The guy with the jack-o'-lantern for a head.
Over here.
I called over Dullahan with a jack-o'-lantern for a head.
What's up? Where am I?
He's wearing, is that a Hawaiian shirt? The pattern on his shirt was strange. The guy was very animated, but no matter how he moved, the angle of the pattern never changed. The thing looked unnerving.
Hello? Hello?
I pulled myself together.
Hello, welcome to Cafe Mori.
Do I detect that you've noticed the shirt?
Yeah. How does it work? By some sort of magic?
Yes. I made it myself. It's my lucky MM shirt.
You hate him? Why do you hate him?
MM?
Because it's me. One of those I've never felt so personally attacked by a visual novel in my life.
Magic Mirror. It's that video website that lets you watch people live stream, either online or through a scrying device. I wear this shirt every Friday when I do coffee streams. I'm pretty famous there, not to brag.
So it's Friday. I only understood half of what the Dullahan said, but I nodded my head. I knew that scrying devices were enchanted objects like crystal balls, mirrors, and stones, and that they were great replacements for television, but not much else.
Fortunately, Magic Mirror still works without the internet.
I nodded again, pretending I knew more about Magic Mirror than what this man had just said and what Mori had mentioned a few weeks ago about discovering it and using it to follow painting tutorials. They nodded because I fell under my back. Take care of yourself, Shrieking Bard. Thank you for hanging out with us as long as you could.
Like I said, welcome to Cafe Mori. Do you, by any chance, remember the last thing you were up to before arriving?
Yes, I was playing archery with my best friend. He was still learning. I told him, I said, "Watch where you point that bow and arrow. You'll have someone's eye out in a minute." Only joking. No, don't worry. I know how the stuff works. I'm headless, remember? I've already died. I just, came back.
Is that how Dullahans work?
Do you know how you died this time?
Well, let's see. I don't rightly know.
I know nothing about Dullahans, so... I remember that time works differently in Cafe Mori. Perhaps the void has already started erasing people? It was a chilling thought. I like it. I'm listening. I'm jamming. Good luck, Bard. I hope you feel better. The jack-o'-lantern-headed man glanced over his shoulder, looking over at Mori across the room. Mori was talking to another patron. The Dullahan leaned in conspiratorially.
So, is he a Grim Reaper or the Grim Reaper?
Both.
Mori? Yeah, he's deaf.
Wow, I didn't get to meet him the first time around. So I'm really off to being reincarnated this time. Can't I just stay here?
No. You'll get a penalty for trying to stay in limbo for too long.
Oh? What happens?
You become me.
You don't want to know.
I like Robin a lot.
Well, then I guess I'll have to pick being reincarnated then. My name's Jack, by the way.
Of course it is.
Luckily, I know about the cafe's rules. You want me to pick my dearest memory. And I already have one prepared.
I was surprised.
Oh, really? Already?
Yep. It was about 2 years ago.
He began moving his fingers again, as if he were trying to set up a miniature stage out of air.
It was during the last days of summer. There's a park that I walked past on my way home from work. And in this park is a swing set. Normally, I'd walk right on past it, straight home. But on other days, if it felt right and there was no one else in the park, I'd sit down and start swinging. I remember it was near the end of summer because the sun was out, but it wasn't burning me. And as I was swinging, I kind of felt a little sad, because I knew I'd miss doing this again until the next summer. So I just concentrated real hard on remembering everything about that moment. How blue the sky was, feeling the wind through my jacket. That moment of feeling weightless just before you swing back down.
He tapped a finger to his pumpkin head.
I've got it all recorded here, in high definition.
He finished, standing there with an expression that somehow said, "So what do you think?"
I'm a bit surprised, to be honest. Why pick a memory that's so quiet? If you're famous, why not pick a memory where you're in front of everyone?
As a Grim Reaper, I wasn't supposed to pass judgment, strictly speaking. But it was the end times. This wasn't normal circumstances.
Because I can't just pick a memory for having validation. Take it from someone who spent a lot of time chasing fame. Find validation elsewhere. Family, friends, people you care about.
The trick is to make the audience people you care about. I love all of you. Because I have no one else in my life to love. Aw, I made myself
Seeking
sad.
Approval from everyone is only going to make you feel exhausted. When I was at peace with that, things felt a whole lot easier.
I'll bear that in mind if I ever join Magic Mirror.
So, that's why I picked that swing set memory. You can't think that life is only worthwhile if you're doing something notable or great all the time. Like, I'm glad I'm good at what I do, but if I had to suddenly stop, I'd still be okay with it. There was a time when I wouldn't have been. If that happened to me before, I might have thought, what am I good at now? Am I nothing? No. You are lovable because you're human. Well, humanoid. I mean, look at me. Aren't I lovable?
You're asking the wrong Grim Reaper. Anyway, I'll go make your request.
With thoughts of swing seats and blue skies and the last days of summer, I began to work. Alright, let's see what we got. I already know which one it is. It's tarts. It's an egg, lemon, a potion, and milk.
Done. There you go.
Thank you kindly.
He began to eat. I turned away and pretended to polish some silverware. Mainly because I never wanted to find out how Dullahan's ate. Some things should remain a mystery. Okay, I need to adjust. Come on, you. Fix. There we go. After a while, he finished.
That was the greatest, the most stupendous, the most scrumdiddlyumptious meal I've ever had.
Flatterer.
Aren't I just? Well, I guess this is it. I wonder what I'll come back as.
He smiled at me, then faded away. I looked back at the void. I hoped that he'd have enough time to come back as something. Well, that was the last patron for me. Mori's sorted out all the others. Wait, we don't get to do all of them? Fuck. Mori glided up to the counter.
So, you're done for the day?
It just means we gotta play it twice.
Yeah, it's done for the day. And done for eternity as well, I expect.
I'm going to miss this, I realized. I'm going to miss him.
Do you ever think about memory? About how it changes? Memory isn't reliable. So if we're recreating someone else's memory, what if that memory is false? They wouldn't even be aware of it.
I think what is important is what they took from the memory. Did it make them happier? Sadder? Did it change them?
I guess.
I could tell that Mori was pondering deeply. Despite him not having physical eyes, I could feel him staring at me. After a while of considering something, he spoke.
Tell me, what stuck with you? Today when you were working, what was your takeaway from those people?
I want to see if my decision here matters. The final memories were
The
mundane.
final memories were mundane. They tended to be very small, mundane, personal moments, rather than big celebrations.
Big celebrations. And that is the measurement of a good life, is it?
Kind of? Yes.
I haven't won any awards.
You're not alive. I gave him a look. He shrugged.
Shall we put the chairs back up on the tables?
Yes.
We began lifting up the wooden chairs and placing them onto the tables. This had been our ritual for so long, since that fateful day I died alone and scared. I threw my mind back to the morning after Mori had introduced himself and his idea of building a cafe. At the time, I just thought that Death wanted a project. He seemed very interested in humanity, asking, "What's this and why?" But I was able to rebuild myself into what I didn't know. Just someone who wasn't scared anymore. I had no idea where this would end up leading to. How many people I'd meet. How many lives I'd touch. How many strawberries I'd blender. How many lives I'd touch. I've really helped people, haven't I? And I enjoy it. It fully dawned on me just how many people I'd helped along the way. Even just a little bit. If you could take every person I'd made a last meal for and lined them up all in a row, you wouldn't be able to stand at one end and see the final person at the other. I didn't even know all their names, but being able to do this, to talk and blender and listen, it made me happy. Mori floated up to me. He had finished putting the chairs back and had probably spotted me floating in my own little world.
Hey, Mori, I know what my most precious memory is.
He looked taken aback, like I had wounded him.
That's good. Several decades too late, but good. And what is this memory of?
This moment, here, right now, it's perfect.
Mori turned to look back at the death vortex behind him and then back at me.
Well, not perfect, but this moment, I want to capture this moment perfectly. If I could freeze this moment, I would be happy. Because this is the moment where I realized how important my job is to me.
I turned around, looking at the magic blender and shelves of ingredients I'd spent years using for visitors of Cafe Mori. This is going to be my last job. Yeah, it's that one. Wine in a mocha cappuccino? I sat down at the counter, turning to look out into the shrinking vastness of space and the growing nothingness of the void.
I guess this is it.
This is it.
Will you be alright on your own?
He shrugged nonchalantly.
I'll be fine. I'm used to eternity. Oblivion might make a nice change.
I could tell that, for all his jokes, he was worried.
Yeah, I'm scared too.
What have you made for yourself there?
A mocha cappuccino.
I began to drink it. I felt that moment of realization all over again, of standing by the chairs, of feeling Mori's presence close by, of the unseeable lineup of people that stretched through time. I tasted it. Somehow, through the mug of caffeine I held, I tasted this moment. Was this what the cafe's patrons experienced? I felt the cafe melt and fade away, or maybe that was just me fading away. I could hear something in the distance, so faint it was barely audible. But it was there.
Goodbye, Robin.
And then I felt like things would be alright after all.
Goodbye, Mori.
I closed my eyes. I wondered what nothing would feel like. Fuck. I'm not okay. Just when I thought October wouldn't involve bawling my eyes out at the end of visual novels. I think I need to lie down. That was heavy, man. It was heavy. I expect this to end with the last end card from Cowboy Bebop just saying you're gonna carry that weight. Like a Studio Ghibli, yes, that's a good example. Aww. Okay, so there were multiple endings, presumably. What changes the ending you get? Is it failure? Is that what makes you get less good endings, presumably? We still have to do the gargoyle and the ghost, so...
Oi! Over here!
Existential crisis, here I come. This wasn't long, not really. Do you want spoilers on that? I'm alright if you give me spoilers as to how I get the ending, but don't tell me how it ends if you can avoid it. I called over to the gargoyle. I gestured them over with a wave of my hand. Oh god, he's so cute! They wore an oatmeal jumper with their stony form appeared to fit comfortably in. From what I'd seen, gargoyles came in all sorts of forms. This one resembled a bat. Or a goat? Both? Okay, so it is determined by how many mistakes you make. The gargoyles seemed distressed. Their lips were quivering and their eyes were shining with what I hoped wasn't going to be tears. I realized I would have to be gentle with this one. I cleared my throat.
Welcome to Cafe Mori. Do you remember what you were doing before you arrived here?
I was reading on the church roof when I felt some pebbles fall on my head. I looked up and saw a section of the east wing falling in my direction.
I was once again thankful that patrons didn't come to the cafe in pieces with holes that themselves missing.
That wasn't a dream, you realize. That actually happened.
Wait, does this mean I...
I know, it's so adorable.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
And this Cafe Mori is not on Earth?
Nope.
You're at the edge of the universe. The last point of contact for the void. From the look of things, Cafe Mori will be the last building swallowed up.
So everyone ends up here?
No. It's complicated.
Does it depend on whether you're good or bad?
No. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. Death will always be there. It's kinda his thing. He says it's comforting, because it means no matter what you've done, you won't be alone when you die.
I prefer just not dying, to be honest.
Would that we all had that choice to make.
I know this is all a lot to take in, but I really need to ask you something. Out of all your years of life on Earth, which one memory is most precious to you? I need to know because once you have chosen, I will do my best to recreate it as a meal. When you eat it, you'll be able to re-experience the memory before you go.
What happens after that?
I don't know. Normally you'll be reincarnated and live your next life. But with the universe ending, I guess this is the last run through.
Oh,
We both went quiet for a moment.
I'm not sure what memory to pick.
They sat in front of the windowed wall, taking in the end of the universe.
I miss my friends. I lost contact with them when the void destroyed the internet.
Oh, right. I heard about that. Everyone went a bit mad when they realized the web wasn't coming back. News stations had to scramble to find a more old-fashioned way of broadcasting.
I didn't even get to say goodbye to them. I hope they're alright. And it's the internet. There's so much stuff. Archives, records, art.
Cat videos?
You watch a lot of those too?
Well, Mori certainly does.
You know, it's funny. At first, I thought I should pick a memory from something like a party or a graduation ceremony. Something like that. But I want to pick something else. A memory where I'm alone. I can't remember how many years ago this was, but I remember sleeping in, waking up to the sun streaming in through the curtains. It was autumn, but the sun felt warm.
Mori, look at this cat video I found. That'd be
I
great.
was under the duvet, and instead of getting out of bed, I just lay there, taking it all in. It was cozy.
They gave me a look as if to ask, is that an okay memory? I decided to answer them.
Of course it is. You can choose any memory you want, so long as it's precious to you.
But that's the thing. I thought a precious memory would be one where I'm surrounded by people, or doing something good. What does it say about me that I picked this memory instead of one where I'm with my friends, or helping someone?
You're under no obligation to pick what you think other people would think is your most precious memory. It's yours. I'm not your judge. Part of my job description is to remain impartial to everyone.
Mori's words echoed through my mind. Death isn't evil. I'm not cruel. I'm not kind. I am simply me. It seemed like so many decades ago. I guess it was.
And it makes me think, how will other people remember me? I don't want to be known as the one who sleeps all the time, you know?
Hey, if it means anything to you, I think sleeping in is a pretty good thing to do.
Thank you.
So, that's your menu order? Let me just get that for you.
Can do. That one's this one. Bread, milk, strawberry, and vanilla.
How do you get your strawberries so giant? They're as big as the milk bottles.
Mori's got a green thumb, it turns out. He has his own garden out back and everything.
Mori? As in Cafe Mori?
Yeah, he's the owner of the place. It's a Latin name.
They didn't seem to get the meaning to that. I decided not to tell them. I slid the plate to the gargoyle. They smiled and started eating. I preoccupied myself by rearranging the shelves, realizing I already had everything when I liked it, and rearranged everything back to its original spots. When the gargoyle finished eating, they looked back up at me.
That hit the spot! That was the best cake I've ever had!
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It tastes like how that memory felt. How did you do that?
It's a trade secret.
I smiled at the gargoyle.
So, I'm going to go now? I feel a little scared. A lot, actually.
I tried to think of something to say, something comforting. But it was hard to think of something when you can't start off with, "I've been there, I know what it's like." So instead I took their hand and gave it a tiny, comforting squeeze. They smiled at me. I held on until the hand wasn't there to hold anymore. I caught the ghost's attention. The spirit glided over to me.
It's a lot less crowded than I thought it would be.
Time is different here.
Oh.
She was a bedsheet ghost, which struck me as unusual. They were becoming less and less common in favor of the transparent, glowing kind.
You're wondering about the bedsheet thing, I can tell.
No. Well, yes.
Well, I don't know either, to be honest. I like the anonymous feeling of it, though.
I can understand that.
I could definitely understand wanting to remake yourself. The ghost turned her head to look out at the void. I did the same. For a moment there was an understanding between us. I could tell that she was like me. We both were the type of people who can stand silently with a stranger without feeling awkward. People often feel like they need to break every silence, but sometimes there's no need for that. This was one of those times.
I'm going to miss it, you know. The earth, the art, towns, nature. I'm a little scared, to be honest.
I tried to reassure her, but what I said came out wrong.
You realize that you've already died.
I'm undead. I died and I was never reborn. I'm a bit nervous of no longer being a ghost. You get used to these things.
Why not think of it as finally finding peace?
Peace? Look outside. The world is falling apart. I'm not too eager to turn into a baby. But I guess we don't get much say in this. So, what comes next?
I realized I had to put things back on track.
Well, now I need you to tell me your most precious memory. I'll then prepare a last meal for you to relive that memory, and then you can move on.
I see. A memory. I'll have to think about that.
Perhaps thinking from the present and working your way back will help you come up with something. What do you get up to now?
Not a lot, I'm dead. Well, tell a lie. I do float around and do ghost stuff.
Ghost stuff?
Mainly floating around, turning invisible, going ooh when there's only one person in a building. I used to spend a lot of time rearranging the furniture just to mess with people. Now I mainly sleep in the attic of my family home.
Yeah, ooh.
I got to see my own funeral and how my death affected the people in my life.
How did they take it?
Not very well. But I got to follow them around. I remember watching my niece make a handmade postcard. It was something I had taught her. It was nice, seeing her do something that reminded her of me. That's the memory I'd like to leave with.
I nodded and turned to my mixing area. Interesting. Yeah, every character is a real treat. Here it is. Macaroons. Egg, starry jam, potion, and milk. I handed the meal to the spirit. She started to eat and politely turned my gaze back to the glass view of the disappearing stars, wondering, how do bedsheet ghosts eat? When she had finished, she spoke.
That was the best meal I've ever had. Nice. Really nice.
Not sure I'd call a macaroon a meal, but...
I'm glad.
I'm glad I could experience that memory one more time. Well, I guess now it's time for my next big adventure. Ta-ta.
With that, the spirit vanished. Okay, so now the trick is, with this playthrough, not only do we get to do the ones we missed, but we also get to mess up one intentionally to see how it affects things.
Over here!
Okay, so the goal is to not do it right. And I think the way we don't do it right is we give him one that we know is wrong. So we'll just do this one, because I know this one is wrong, because we already did this one this time. Strawberry, vanilla extract, sure. Throw in the succulent for good measure.
Done. There you go.
Thank you kindly.
I wonder if it... I must have missed the line. Whoops. Can I go back one? After a while, he finished.
That was odd.
Odd?
It didn't taste like that swing set memory at all.
I realized that I must have gotten something wrong with the recipe. I must have looked apologetic because Jack spoke up.
Don't worry. It was a pleasure eating a meal made by you.
Flatterer.
Aren't I just? Well, I guess this is it. I wonder what I'll come back at.
Okay. Wait, we never got to see what this one would be. We'll do this one real quick too.
That each of these people lived interesting lives? People have gone through some things in life that you can't tell on the surface.
Yes. Sonda, I believe. Sonda is a word for the realization that every person's life is as strange and as vivid and as boring as your own.
You can hardly say that a person living in the rainforest is as boring as a person living their life as a high school student.
Can't I? Oh. Shall we put the chairs back up on the tables?
Yes.
We began lifting up the wooden chairs and placing them onto tables. When we finished, I walked back by the corner. Mori floated up to me.
The cafe doesn't close in the traditional sense, but it's important to have a routine.
I nodded. I understood Mori well enough to know that underneath all his layers of jokes and general goofiness, he was smart. He wanted me to feel comforted. So you know what? I decided to let him.
See you tomorrow then?
Ah, well, that's the crux of the matter now, isn't it? As you said earlier, there won't be a tomorrow because of that pesky void outside.
You don't say.
Are you sure you don't want to try picking a memory? I'd make you something to eat and then you can disappear.
And go where? There is nowhere to go. It's disappearing as we speak. I'm staying here. Besides, I don't want to lose all these memories. If I'm reborn, I'd have to leave the cafe behind.
That wouldn't be so bad, would it?
Yes, it would.
Aww.
I'm hungry. I'd like a last meal. Is Cafe Mori still open?
I stopped, and the universe seemed to stop for a moment too.
You don't eat.
I'm going to try. Would you do me the honor of preparing something for me?
Mori, what the hell are you on about?
I want you to inherit the cafe. I think it's time. My job is done soon. I'm retiring. I want you to give me a bit of a send-off.
Me? You want me to serve you a last meal?
Yes. And can it be a glass of trifle? I'm really in the mood for trifle.
I
So
almost
you
want to
can
know what happens if you fuck this
retire?
up.
Where will you go from here? Become a delivery worker?
It would certainly be a change from the removal business, but no. I suppose I'll disappear like the rest of them. I wonder what I look like as a baby.
I felt hollow.
I don't want you to go.
Now, that's not a very Grim Reaper-y thing to say. You're starting to sound like the cafe patrons. No one gets a choice in who they lose.
Don't let me be alone again.
Then pick a memory too. We can both go, wherever non-existence goes.
And once again, that old thought creeped back into me. I couldn't. When I was alive, there wasn't a single memory I wanted to take with me. I didn't have a horrible life, but to truthfully say, this is my most precious memory. I couldn't do it.
No. You know why. I'll inherit the cafe from you. And I'll take care of it until the end of time. I can promise you that.
I could see the disappointment in his hollowed eye sockets, but he didn't say anything for the longest time.
Very well. I fancy a glass of trifle.
I turned back to my work area of shelves and ingredients, my area of expertise. I do very much want to know what'll happen if I fuck this up. I'm not going to do it the first round, though. The first time you met the most important person in your life, you didn't know it at the time, but you do now, and looking back. Aw, that hurts. I handed the glass of trifle to him. He picked up a spoon with trepidation. He looked like he wasn't sure what to do with it.
Thank you for your services.
I felt a sense of pride as I watched him scoop up a spoonful. The trifle slowly disappeared down his skull and neck into his cloak.
What does it taste like?
He placed the spoon down, finishing.
Exactly as I remembered. Thank you for the meal. I'm thankful I got to share it with you.
I didn't have any.
I mean, sharing all this.
He waved his arms vaguely at our surroundings. The cafe. Existence.
Goodbye, Robin.
I watched him fade away right in front of me.
Goodbye, Mori.
Yeah, the VAs are really good in this. Also, you're breaking my goddamn heart. I stood there in the empty silence for quite a while. I felt like I was the only person in existence, which might have very well been true. In that moment, death did not exist, so neither did life. I walked outside. Cafe Mori stood at the edge of the universe, on a small patch of soil that floated through space. I walked out to do the last thing I always did before going to bed. I blew out the candle that lit up the sign of the cafe. I started to think about reincarnation again. According to some circles, the point of the cycle was to eventually reach nirvana, being freed from the cycle of rebirth, a state of permanent peace. Before, I thought that having a cycle didn't sound so bad. You'd lose your memory with each run through, so you wouldn't even be aware of how many times you'd lived. Now I was beginning to understand the appeal of permanence. Nirvana literally means to blow out a candle. Blow out the candle, Robin. Make a wish. I wish for some peace. I walked back into the cafe, closing the door behind me, and inheriting the cafe. Okay, I want to do that one again, but I want to mess this up and see what happens. This one's fitting. Lemon, potion, and milk. No, this isn't right. I'm meant to be making trifle for more. I need to get this right. Okay. So that doesn't do anything. That's fine. Now I think we go to the beginning. There is a thing that happens if you don't follow any recipes. What? Okay, let's see if I can mess this up properly. Mushroom. See if I can find everything with mushroom in it. There's only one thing with mushroom in it, so as long as I don't make that one thing with mushroom in it, we're good to go. Coffee beans, wine, and lemon. Because I said so.
Do I have to do it for you?
I like that. That was funny. Okay, back to the main menu. Yes, we're good with that. We're okay with losing the progress. So this time, we're going to mess up 2 recipes. I could have just reloaded back to this point. I don't know why I didn't. Let's mess up the witches. Let's just make everybody trifle. Because it's fun. Coffee bean, strawberry, vanilla extract, and wine.
Here you go.
I do this every time. I always forget.
This isn't quite what I was looking for.
My spirit sank.
I'm sorry. I always try to do my best, but even after several decades, we'll still make mistakes.
It's okay. It was nice to see a Grim Reaper at work after reading about you guys.
Out of curiosity.
Okay. Now this time we're only doing 2 mess-ups, so... Coffee beans, strawberry, vanilla extract, and wine. Everybody's getting trifles. I could see that the scientist was confused. How do you make these meals? By putting things like eggs and strawberries into a blender.
It's a magic blender.
That's not very... That was an unusual feeling.
My heart sank. I could tell that somewhere I had messed up.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Thank you for the meal. What do you think what...
Okay. Now let's mess up, or let's do
Over
Jack's
here.
the right way, since we fucked up his last time. I don't remember what Jack wants. Yes, I do. I do remember what Jack wants. Jack wants tarts. That is Jack's thing. Egg, lemon, potion, milk.
Done. There you go.
Doesn't matter what I answer here, right?
That the final memory.
After we had finished, I looked out at the void. It was bigger now, closer. This is it, I thought. Mori appeared next to me. He was also looking at the void. I was surprised at how quiet it was. I expected the vortex to sound like wind or thunder. But apart from the sound of breaking debris, it was disturbingly quiet. The void's flames licked at the wooden pillars of the cafe. I had heard descriptions of this on Mori's radio. The flames erased things.
So, I guess this is it then. Have any regrets?
I considered this. While I used to wish that I hadn't died so early in life, I realized that I wouldn't have met Mori under the same circumstances in that alternate universe.
No regrets. You?
I really wish I bought more frames to hang in the cafe.
I smiled. He still had his humor, even until the end. I looked at Mori's pinprick lights in his eye sockets, and then felt like things would be okay. I heard one of the glass walls break behind me.
So we're just going to wait for the void to erase Cafe Mori with us inside it?
Sounds good.
You've got it.
I felt strangely calm about the whole idea.
How is there going to be anything at all without death? You've been around since almost forever.
He shrugged.
Maybe there are other universes.
Painting fell off the wall. I felt like I needed to say something. I wanted to say something important or wise to Mori before we were gone. I just wasn't sure what to say.
I'm going to miss you, Mori. If being erased off the face of the universe leaves me with anything, I'm gonna feel that.
Oh, don't get soppy on me now. But, yeah. I'm going to miss you too.
We stood like that for a while, with the walls and roof disappearing around us, just me and him in the void. It wasn't like having a last meal at all. I wasn't fading away as a whole person. I was being chipped and burned away like a statue. The flames weren't hot. After all, if you became nothing as it touches you, how can you feel pain? I closed my eyes because I didn't want to watch Mori go away. Let him disappear on my own terms. I started thinking about my existence. I didn't spend a lot of time alive, but I certainly spent a lot of time conscious. I had an intrusive thought. You spent who knows how many decades in this cafe, all because you couldn't make a decision. All because you didn't want to make a decision. Pure stubbornness. Was it worth it? If I really thought about it, I had spent most of my existence working at Cafe Mori, serving meals, serving souls, serving my sentence. But despite the job supposedly being a punishment, I had enjoyed it. I was proud of it. Was it worth it? Yes. It was enough. I felt a coldness, then a blackness darker than the murkiness behind my eyelids. Then I felt nothing at all. Ending. Cafe burns away. Okay, one more go, we fuck up everything. Could have just hit load, but oh well. We'll get there soon. Everybody gets trifles.
Here you go.
Alright, have a good night, Hand. Hope to see you again tomorrow.
Over here.
Well, how do I make a trifle again? Coffee bean, strawberry, vanilla extra. Alright, there's my 3.
That the final memories.
Oh, okay, so that doesn't matter if you miss 2 or 3, you get the same ending. Okay. Which is the bad end. Alrighty. Woo, that was a thing. That was a good one. I say that after everyone because all of them have been good. It's very bittersweet, I think. It makes me think of... I think Mort was one of my favorite characters in all of Pratchett's books. And I feel like this death felt a lot like Mort. Or... and I always liked that. I like that, I like Death as a caretaker rather than a reaper. Or a guide, sort of thing. And this kind of expanded on it, and I liked that. Good soundtrack. Good art. I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep now, okay? Because that's what we do around here, right? We play visual novels, and then we cry ourselves to sleep after the visual novels.